This is News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live at 4 on this Tuesday. Boy, warm and windy out there this afternoon.
It's like July.
I think we're right on the verge of maybe breaking a record. We'll check on that with Alex. And you may not think this is the time of year for severe weather. We may actually have some on the way.
Let's go out to the patio. Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington is out there with your first warn forecast. Alex?
Did we break the record?
I think we tied the record, and I say I think because just before I stepped out on the patio, the National Weather Service sent a message to all of us media partners and other folks that are in the National Weather Service chat saying that we could have tied a record of 82 degrees a little bit earlier, shortly right after the lunch hour. So I'll verify that when I pop back into the studio. But boy, it feels like 82 degrees out here. It's windy, but it is warm across southern Wisconsin. That warm energy, that fuel is there for the potential for some strong to severe thunderstorms, not tonight, but this would be for Wednesday evening and Wednesday night. And I want to underline, when we have nighttime severe weather threats, those are always a bit more concerning to me because a lot of folks you're having dinner, you're watching movies, you're hanging out with your family. You're going to want to make sure you have all accesses to the First Warn Weather app, channel3000.com, of course, our live broadcasts. Have that NOAA Weather Radio handy too. What sort of severe weather threats could we be up against as we go into Wednesday night? The main threat is strong damaging winds, which would not be shocking at all when we already have strong winds out there. But we can't rule out the possibility of a few brief spin-up tornadoes with a line of storms, which we'll track together in a bit. Now, current temperature is 81 in Madison. That preliminary 82 occurred potentially right after the lunch hour. Again, I'll confirm that when I step back into the studio. But we got temperatures up near 80 degrees, if not 82, in Boscobel and in Janesville right now. So a very unseasonably warm day across southern Wisconsin. We stay in the 70s tonight. I like to get my walk in at 6 o'clock. I'll be wearing shorts and a short sleeve shirt. Jacob will be here, of course, coming up a little bit later for our later evening shows to keep you up to date on alert day conditions, which includes a line of potential severe weather, which we will track together in a few minutes using Future Track.
Thank you, Alex. Late October and his shorts weather. How about that?
I know.
Well, $59.5 million. It's what the state superintendent says is needed to recruit and retain Wisconsin teachers. That's according to today's proposal released by the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction.
Our Ellie La Liberté joins us now with why DPI says schools need these resources. Ellie?
Well, this graph shows first-year teacher retention, and the common theme here is, well, teachers are leaving. In fact, 39% of teachers leave the state or profession altogether in their first 6 years. But DPI hopes the proposed nearly $60 million would give this graph a more positive trend. Under the proposed biennium budget, DPI would provide a $10,000 stipend for student teachers, use more than $7 million to expand a peer review and mentoring grant program, and work to eliminate barriers to educator licensing.
Our budget request is going to be investing in the teacher workforce. Learning why, certainly teachers are leaving is very important to us so that we can address those underlying issues. But we need to invest, and we need to invest also in recruitment as well as in retention of our teachers.
At a roundtable today, the DPI heard from state, district, and teacher representatives. Many of them voiced concerns around investing in special education, diversifying staff, and continuing support for educators. Tonight at 5, you can find out if those participants think the proposal is enough.
Thank you, Ellie. Enrollment at universities of Wisconsin branch campuses is down by more than 1,000 students compared to this time last year. Today, UW released fall 2024 enrollment data, showing branch campuses enrollment fell a whopping 22%. It comes as 6 satellite campuses are closed or will close next year. Experts say communities hosting these campuses are at risk of losing both their talent pipelines and the backbones of their local economies. UW President Jay Rothman says the closures are largely due to the lack of state funding for public education. Last year, the Wisconsin Policy Forum says UW is ranked 43rd of 50 states for per student funding for the state in 2021.
The new East Park Medical Center in Madison is gradually opening for patients who need cancer care services. On Monday, providers welcomed the first patients to the new Cancer Care Center, which is the largest medical facility to be completed in the U.S. this year. One of the focuses of the new center is to give specialized care for people who have cancer by offering resources like infusion care, upright proton therapy, and side effect support. UW Health Medical Director Dr. Lee Wilkie says this new addition comes at an opportune time where they expect to see an increase in cancer diagnoses.
The baby boomers are aging up, and that is a large population of individuals that are entering into their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and we will see an increase in cancer diagnoses because cancer affects individuals as they age.
Dr. Wilkie also added that the new facility will specialize in women's pelvic health to help women with cancer and menopausal needs. Some cancer services have already begun, while other services will officially kick off November 11th and 18th. Well, you may have noticed some changes if you're one of the 40,000 people who regularly drive down John Nolan Drive.
And while the orange cones have already lined the road, discussions about the final goal of the project are still ongoing. Maddie Heimsch joins us live now from John Nolan. Hey, Maddie.
Hey, Brady and Susan. It's something the city engineers and local advocates have been disputing. It's the possibility of an underpass underneath John Nolan Drive, specifically between those intersections with Broome Street and North Shore Drive. Now, there have been more than 50 crashes resulting in injury reported at those two intersections over the past decade. Local bike and pedestrian advocate groups are pushing for an underpass, but the city estimates it to double the cost of the entire construction project. The city says one of their construction goals is to add some separation between cars and bicyclists. Craig Weinhold of Madison Bike says he's content with the direction the city is moving. Take a listen.
The plan they have is very generous for bicycling and pedestrians. You know, the current path that runs along the lake was sort of an afterthought. It's going to become a primary mode of transportation in this new plan.
The city's current construction work, while it won't include that underpass, will leave room for one in case there's a need in the future. But Weinhold and other advocates say that need is right now. And coming up, the Madison Lakeway project, which in a couple of years is set to transform the bike path and the lakefront, will be highly dependent on the outcome of this construction that we're seeing now on John Nolan. We'll hear from the leaders leading that effort on News 3 Now at 5. But for now, reporting live on John Nolan Drive, I'm Maddie Heimsch, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Maddie. Coming up, from crashes to fires and even floods, the road can be unpredictable. Are you prepared to protect yourself when things take a dangerous turn?
Consumer Report shares some tips to help you stay safe when the unexpected hits.
I'm Joan Balwig, and I'm here to set the record straight. I support birth control, the life and health of mothers, extending postpartum care, and fertility treatments, including IVF. I'm Joan Balwig. I have always fought for Wisconsin moms, and I always will.
They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. Why hasn't she done it?
For years, radical Kamala Harris created the border crisis. Thousands of accused murderers, rapists, even terrorists pour in. Each crime they commit makes American victims. Innocent victims of Kamala's open border agenda. They were bludgeoned, raped, strangled, stabbed, shot, and murdered. Kamala created the border crisis. She won't fix it now. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
It is a beautiful day on the Wisconsin Capitol Square. I'm joined with Martin Hernandez with AARP Wisconsin, and we are talking about the upcoming election because in a recent poll, over 90% of people polled 50 years and older are extremely motivated to vote in this election. Why is that?
They are. They're extremely motivated because they know what's at stake. So that's things like Social Security. That's important not just for their generation, but for generations to come. And so when we talk to our members all across the state, that's one of the first things that they mention to us is protecting Social Security for everybody.
Now, AARP is a nonpartisan organization, but there's 3 or 4 big topics that are very important to voters.
Exactly. So we don't work on any specific candidate. What we do is we work on issues. The top issues that we're looking at this year are Medicare expansion. If we are able to get that passed, that's millions of dollars coming back to Wisconsin. Supporting family caregivers. Right now, there are millions of people across the state giving their time and money to care for family and loved ones. We need to do more to support them. And then the last one is broadband expansion. We know that's going to require the federal, state, and local governments all working together. And so we're really trying to make sure that we can roll that out as smoothly as possible.
And of course, it's important for people to know how to vote, when to vote, where to vote.
So we know there's all sorts of conversation happening around where, when, and how someone can vote. ARP wants to make sure that everyone makes a plan to vote. And so we have a one-stop shop on our voter guide. It has all the necessary links there so that anyone can make a plan to vote, and they can find that at arp.org/WIVotes. So we encourage everyone to check out that website to make their plan to vote. Again, that's arp.org/WIVotes.
There you go. Get your voice heard on or before November 5th. For Martin, I'm Emmy, and you are buzzed into Madison.
Donald Trump has always wanted unchecked power.
I have the right to do whatever I want as president.
And with Project 2025, he'll get it. No guardrails. This time, he will eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions, and he'll cut Social Security and Medicare to give more tax cuts to billionaires. Donald Trump is more unhinged and unstable than ever. If we give him total power, he'll put everything at risk.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump, their campaigns will be crossing paths twice this week in Wisconsin. Harris will be in Madison tomorrow. The location has not yet been announced, while Trump will be in the Resch Center in Green Bay. On Friday, Trump will return to the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee, while the Harris campaign announced today she will be back in the state as well, and that location is yet to be revealed. Later today, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and former Democratic Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard will campaign for Trump in Madison. The two will hold a moderated discussion with former New England Patriots defensive end Satema Ghali at the Alliant Energy Center at 6 o'clock. This comes on the same day the U.S. Supreme Court rejected Kennedy's appeal to remove his name from the Wisconsin and Michigan ballots.
Today marks 1 week from Election Day. Former President Trump is out campaigning in Pennsylvania, and Vice President Kamala Harris is making her closing arguments in D.C. Trump said today his weekend rally that was marked by some crude and racist insults was, quote, a love fest. That is a term the former president has also used to reference the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Given a chance to apologize this afternoon, Trump instead leaned in, saying it was an honor to be involved in the Madison Square Garden rally. And Vice President Harris is preparing to make her closing argument to voters from the Ellipse outside of the White House. It is the same spot where Trump delivered one of his final speeches as president on January 6th. That's expected to be one of her largest rallies with more than 20,000 people on hand.
The Conference Board's latest consumer survey shows Americans are more optimistic about the economy. And new data we're expecting these next few days could build on that confidence. Starting with today's job openings and labor turnover survey, we'll get new data over the next 4 days that provide snapshots of the U.S. economy. Today's report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics report showing job openings fell to pre-pandemic levels in September. Tomorrow, we'll get the latest ADP employment change report.
Let's get an update now on the weather. We were talking about whether we tied or broke a record at the top of the show. You have an update on that, Alex.
I do have an update, and I can tell you I'm also sweating, so this kind of is fitting here that we did tie a record back from 1937 of 82 degrees. This occurred shortly after noon, and this is confirmed by the National Weather Service. This will go down then as tied climate records for Madison. Unprecedentedly warm day across southern Wisconsin, and it is this ingredient, or one of the ingredients, that will help to fuel the potential for alert day conditions starting very close to this time tomorrow evening, 5, 6 o'clock. We'll track that line of thunderstorms in just a moment. These thunderstorms could produce gusty winds, damaging winds. We could see some hail and some heavy rainfall, but also we can't rule out the potential for an isolated tornado or two. But damaging winds are the main threats from the thunderstorms. Temperatures over the course of the past 24 hours. We also had a record warm low, unconfirmed this morning, but we'll get confirmation on that. Just look at these temperatures through the night, climbing up into the 70s. That's where we got up to that 81, 82 degrees right at lunchtime, where we tied that record. And it's still 81 degrees right now out in our patio. As we plan the evening, no, we're not planning a June or July or an August evening. We're planning a late October evening as clouds fill in and temperatures stay all the way up to 75 degrees still at 10 o'clock. Let's track our temperatures tomorrow, starting off upper 60s to near 70 degrees. Normal highs are in the low to mid 50s, so we're already starting temperatures almost pushing 15 to 20 degrees above normal. Then we go up into the mid to upper 70s. Notice this sharp contrast way off to the northwest of La Crosse. That's that cold front trying to make its way towards the south and east. A healthy line of thunderstorms. Some of these could be strong to severe as we move towards 6 o'clock. Viroqua, Richland Center, Wisconsin, Dells, Juneau, Adams, Marquette, Green Lake counties. Then as we get closer to the 10 o'clock hour, that line approaches Madison very slowly. Heavy rainfall again, strong winds, and maybe a brief spin-up tornado or two. Not out of the question as this line continues to move through. A brief break around 4 in the morning. We could have yet another line of showers and isolated thunderstorms with our latest weather models coming in as we move towards that mid-Thursday Halloween time frame. Things will clear out eventually on Halloween Thursday as we get into the afternoon hours, but it will be brisk. So you may want to have that jacket for around for your Halloween costume. A cool day on Friday. Then as we move towards the weekend, a series of weather systems. I'll get out of the way here. We could have daily heavy rainfall Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, perhaps even going into Wednesday. And a couple of inches of rain are certainly not out of the question with each weather system. So we'll be keeping an eye on the potential for us going from very, very dry conditions to a very wet pattern as we go out into next week. But we got to get through our alert day Wednesday first. First Warn Weather Team will be keeping a close tab on this storm's move, and it's always good to have the First Warn Weather app, channel3000.com access, of course, our live broadcasts. And I always want to make sure folks have a good working battery in their weather radio.
Thank you, Alex. Meanwhile, my fall sweaters are in my closet just collecting dust.
Yeah.
It's too warm for them.
Do you love it, or are you ready for some cooler weather?
Yeah, like a crispness in the air.
That's why we live in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
If we wanted it warm all the time, we'd go to Florida, right?
Exactly.
It is a gift, though, now.
Well, driving conditions can change quickly, but knowing how to protect yourself can make a big difference in surviving a crash, fire, flood, or a severe storm.
Consumer Reports reveals some essential ways to stay safe when things take a turn for the worse.
What started as a routine drive changed in the blink of an eye for Andrea Garnsars.
The bag to the car blew up on the steering wheel. There was an accident.
Andrea says a car slammed into hers from behind. Her car was wrecked and she was shaken.
I was just like in a state of shock.
The best way to protect yourself is to reduce the risk of a crash. Bad weather like fog, rain, snow, or ice can lead to a chain reaction crash.
When visibility is low, it's harder for drivers to see what's ahead. Cars also take longer to stop on wet or icy roads, so it's really important to slow down and leave space between you and other vehicles to help keep you safe.
Pay attention to drivers around you, especially those following too closely. In slippery conditions, ease off the gas to slow down instead of applying the brakes forcefully, which can cause skidding. There are other scary car situations where Consumer Reports says knowing what to do can make the difference between life and death. While less common than they were decades ago, almost 400 passenger vehicle fires still happen on average every day. If it happens to you, act fast.
Pulling over immediately is crucial if you smell smoke or see flames. Once stopped, shut off the car, get out, and move at least 100 feet away from the vehicle and call 911. Attempting to fight the fire on your own, especially without the appropriate extinguisher, can be a deadly mistake.
Consumer Reports also recommend staying away from the front and back of the car to avoid flying parts. It's safer to stay upwind to avoid breathing in harmful gases. And if you can, stay behind the guardrail or off the road in case another car hits the vehicle. Then there's flooding. Flooded roads are more dangerous than they look. Just 12 inches of water can sweep away a small car, and 2 feet of water can move larger vehicles. Even a small puddle can cause you to lose control. So it's important to stay cautious. Since it's often hard to gauge the depth of water, the best advice is to avoid driving through any standing water. Turn around and take a different route or stay home until the weather clears up. Besides the personal risk, floodwaters can ruin your engine and electronics, sometimes leaving your car beyond repair. As for Andrea Garnsars, she knows she was lucky.
Thankfully, nothing happened to my legs on top of it because of the bash into the front of the bus.
These incidents can be costly, but the right insurance can protect you. Comprehensive coverage covers fires or floods, while collision coverage handles repairs after a crash.
It's also very important to have uninsured motorist coverage in case the other driver doesn't have enough coverage. Some states, including Wisconsin, require it.
When we come back, a local community in our area goes all out for Halloween.
I can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
I love people's decorations. Our Josh Spreiter will take us there in the dark when Live at 4 continues.
Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala wouldn't change a thing? Their weakness invited wars, welfare for illegals, while Americans struggle. Now Kamala wants higher taxes on top of higher prices. We can't afford 4 more years of Kamala.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Rebecca Cook believes our parents and grandparents should be able to age with dignity. In Congress, she'll vote to strengthen Social Security and Medicare by repealing the tax on benefits, lowering the eligibility age for Medicare, and allowing Medicare to negotiate lower drug costs so our seniors get the prescription drugs they need at prices they can afford. Rebecca Cook, a homegrown Wisconsinite who fights for what's right. Project 218 is responsible for the content of this ad.
We know what Joan Ballwig wants to do. Ban abortion and birth control. That's it. That's her plan. Sarah Kieski is focused on bringing costs down, and she has real plans to lower the cost of healthcare and housing, prescription drugs, and to cut your taxes. So if you want a candidate focused on banning abortion and birth control, that's Joan Ballwig. For everyone else, there's Sarah Kieski. She's running for state senate to finally bring costs down.
You have a clear choice in this election. Senator Baldwin is a 38-year career politician. I'm a businessman and job creator. She supports taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. I'll close the border. Tammy wants to put guys and girls sports in their bathrooms. I'll protect our daughters. Senator Baldwin abuses the political system. I'll fight the corruption. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I'd be honored to have your vote.
With high inflation, working families like mine are hurting, and Kamala Harris helped create this mess. Now, while Americans struggle, Kamala spent our tax dollars putting illegal immigrants up in hotel rooms, and she supported spending our tax dollars to give illegals sex changes. It's not just liberal, it's insane. Kamala Harris can never, ever be our president.
Preserve America PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
The problem with Todd Novak? He voted with his extreme party leaders 100% of the time, like voting against lower prescription prices. And Todd Novak authored the law to ban abortion in Wisconsin, with no exceptions for rape and incest. Todd Novak is with the extremists 100%, and he's hurting Wisconsin. Elizabeth Grabe will defend abortion rights, get more police funding, and bring down costs. Elizabeth Grabe for Assembly.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it.
He did it. It was pretty devastating.
He is bragging about the rights that he stole from American women. And Trump is promising to do more in Project 2025.
They are restricting birth control,
tracking pregnant women, enforcing a nationwide abortion ban. The government should get out of my business.
Stay out of my business.
That's not the government's business.
In America, women make their own decisions.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
In the 608, it's Halloween week, and we're learning about the haunted street of Stoughton. This community really goes all out every year.
I love that. Yeah. They had our Josh Spreiter there early this morning to check it out in the dark.
Of course, we had to come out here dark and early to check out Haunted Monroe Street for ourselves. We're starting with September and Jim Lyons. They started this about 8 years ago. Guys, good to see you.
You too, thank you.
Oh my gosh, so how did this all start? Because this is something truly remarkable.
It just started with our love of Halloween, and we just started putting little things out, and then we ended up getting more and more stuff, and So then we just started decorating the neighbors' houses as well.
So you change your themes every year. What's this year's theme?
We're doing a circus this year, haunted circus. And then, yeah, we did themes across the street too, a wedding, aliens, haunted harvest, and then the kiddie section. And then we got a party going on over here.
I love it. All right, so Jim, this obviously takes a little time to put together, I would imagine.
It takes a little bit of time. That's why we have to pretty much start in the middle of September and kind of go from there.
What is it like to be able to get creative with this? Because obviously the options are endless.
Well, it's just kind of fun, you know. For a living, I make things look nice, and it's good to make something ugly for once, you know. Just to go with it and do it feels right, you know, and what looks good and creepy.
And I'm guessing the kids just absolutely love it.
They do. It's so cute to watch some of them come through here and just laugh and giggle, and we see a lot of the same kids every day, actually, because they'll like come home from school and the bus stop is down there. So they'll walk this way every single day and they got to check out what's new and what's going on. And yeah, it's amazing.
And other neighbors get into it here on Haunted Monroe Street. That includes Paul Shaleski. Paul, good to see you.
Good to see you.
So what is this all about for you? Because you've been doing this for quite some time as well.
Well, when we moved in here, we heard about that this was a Halloween street. So we thought, okay, we have to do at least something. So we put like a few skeletons out the first couple of years. But obviously you don't get the magnitude of it until it's actually set up. It's pretty amazing, and we just wanted to join in on the fun, you know?
It's fun because this seems like it's such a community thing now.
It really is. It really is. And everybody's been, even the people that don't decorate, they're so gracious about, you know, allowing us to shut down the street and everything. It's great. It's a lot of fun.
It's a nice little break for Halloween, and it gives people a reason to smile for this time of year.
It really does. It really does. It's a nice break from a lot of things that are going on. So, yeah, we really enjoy it.
This year, they're going to be closing down the street on Halloween night, so that'll be something new for you guys, and keeping it safe for the family.
Absolutely. That's the main thing, is keeping it safe for the kids. We'll have barricades. You know, people that need to come in can move the barricades if they need to, but you know, residents. But it's nice to have it closed off so that everybody's safe. They'll have the tables out, and everybody will have a good time.
Oh, it's going to be a fun time for spooky season. Paul, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about Haunted Monroe Street, you can go to the story up on channel3000.com. Again, come check it out this Halloween. In Stoughton, Josh Breiter, News 3 Now.
Oh, I love it. They're raising the bar for our weather patio.
Exactly. We need to start planning for next year now.
Right. We're going to have our Live at 4 Halloween extravaganza again on Thursday with all the kids in their costumes. I can't wait.
We might even dress up too.
Yes.
When we come back, a preview of two big questions residents are facing in the Janesville School District.
We'll highlight the changes the district would like to make if voters pass a $150 million referendum. That's when Live at 4 continues.
We all know what Eric Hovde's trying to do, falsely attacking Tammy Baldwin by questioning her personal life. And Eric Hovde's trying to scare you. The truth is, no sex change surgeries take place on minors in Wisconsin. 0. And Baldwin didn't give funding to a transgender clinic. It's actually a youth homeless shelter. Eric Hovde's a billionaire banker who thinks he can lie about anything. But Wisconsin's better than Eric Hovde.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
So let's get one thing straight. When Donald Trump talks about cutting Social Security and Medicare, it's like spitting in the face of America's seniors. We paid into these programs for our entire careers, and he would just cut them? Why? He wants to give another tax cut to the super rich, which they don't need. I know that Kamala Harris will protect our Social Security because she understands why it's so important for so many of us.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
For 3 years in a row, Chevy has earned more J.D. Power Initial Quality Awards than any other brand. 1, 2, 3. Whether it's a high-tech SUV, the all-electric Equinox EV, or a truck for work or play, Chevy is America's most awarded brand for new vehicle quality. Or qualified lessees can get this Equinox LT for around $299 a month. See your Badgerland Chevy dealer today.
I can honestly say that Cardinal has never let me down.
Cardinal is the place to go for any type of work that you need done around your home.
The kindness, the efficiency, you know, the professionalism, the respect,
was amazing.
We were very impressed with their cleanliness.
I definitely recommend Cardinal Heating and Air Conditioning because of the professionalism, the communication they provided.
Cardinal will always be my first call for anything that Cardinal does.
I think we're going to continue to use Cardinal for a long time.
They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. Why hasn't she done it?
For years, radical Kamala Harris created the border crisis. Thousands of accused murderers, rapists, even terrorists pour in. Each crime they commit makes American victims. Innocent victims of Kamala's open border agenda. They were bludgeoned, raped, strangled, stabbed, shot, and murdered. Kamala created the border crisis. She won't fix it now. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I was 27 years old, and the doctor told me I have MS. You quickly realize what's the most important things in life: family, friendships, love, helping other people. It makes you much more empathetic and compassionate to those that are struggling and suffering. I wanted to achieve my goals and dreams, but I wanted to take my resources and save as many children as I possibly could.
News 3 Now First Warn Weather is brought to you by Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor.
Discover a shopping and design experience as comfortable as the furniture. Lazy Boy Home Furnishings and Decor. Schedule your free design consultation today.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Here's what you want to be on a day like today. Wind sailing out on Lake Wabisa. Boy, it is almost November. It feels like summertime. Take advantage of it while we have it. The windy and stormy Wednesday is ahead, are the weather words. Alex is out on the patio. Boy, nice night to take a walk. Shorts and a t-shirt. It's crazy.
Or wind sail.
Or wind sail. Yeah, I won't be doing that tonight, but I am going for a walk at about 7 o'clock, and I will have shorts and a short sleeve shirt on, no doubt, and probably sweating a bit because temperatures are very mild. I mean, they will stay unseasonably warm tonight. This will lead to the fuel that we for thunderstorms tomorrow evening that could potentially be strong to severe, especially for Madison, and points off towards the west. You wouldn't think of an alert day with severe weather, might not be the first thing in your mind, but we do have the potential for severe weather on the way. And windy, too. We've had wind gusts approaching 30, 35, if not 40 to 45 miles per hour across southern Wisconsin. Warm temperatures still 81 in Madison. We had a tide record high of 82 just shortly after noon. That was recently confirmed by the National Weather Service, in upper 70s, lower 80s across all of southern Wisconsin. Not the temperatures you'd expect at the end of October, maybe July or August. And look at, as we plan our evening tonight, only 75 degrees when you join Jacob tonight at 10 o'clock. Coming up, though, in Maine weather in just a little bit, we're going to track that line of thunderstorms, when you can expect them in your neighborhood, and how much water you could possibly get from that line of thunderstorms.
Thank you, Alex. You've heard a lot about MMSD's referendum on the ballot, but it's far from the only school district in the area going to property owners for funding.
Our Armand Rahman takes us to Rock County for what the school district of Janesville is asking residents to vote for on Election Day.
This year, nearly half of Wisconsin school districts have addressed funding needs with a referendum to residents, and that includes the school district of Janesville, who has 2 referendum questions on the ballot this November 5th. To address operational needs, the district is asking to continue a $14.5 million referendum that will last 2 school years. This would replace the 4-year referendum ending this year that voters approved in 2020, so residents would not see any estimated property tax increase here.
We want to be able to continue to provide high curriculum resources, and without this operational referendum, we wouldn't be able to do those things at the level we do now. And because of that, then we'd have less people to be able to provide opportunities for the same amount of kids. So our 9,500 kids and parents are going to expect the same amount of opportunities and outcomes with more than 100 less people.
The other referendum question is addressing the first phase of maintenance needs at the district's 20 facilities. $151.8 million would address safety and security measures at building entrances, improve special education classrooms, and repair or replace other high-priority aging systems. For the average home valued at about $300,000, this would mean a property tax impact of about $20 a month. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from some residents to see how they feel about the 2 referendum questions. Reporting in Janesville, Armand Rahman, News 3 Now.
Armand, thank you. We'll see you at 6. The total cost of the capital maintenance needs is about $578 million. If voters approve Phase 1 on Tuesday, the district would complete those projects and then talk with residents about what they should prioritize for Phase 2 before they figure out the cost.
We are 7 days, yes, 7 days out from Election Day, and the campaigns are not letting up on trying to earn votes.
Our Jalen Banks caught up with students on UW-Madison's campus about some of the non-traditional tactics they're using geared toward earning their vote. Jalen?
Susan and Brady, for as long as we can remember, we've seen the campaign signs out on yards. This time of the year, seeing the nonstop TV ads. But this campaign cycle, we're seeing Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump appear on podcast. And the Harris campaign even going as far as appearing in one of the world's most popular video games, Fortnite. I went to UW-Madison's campus to see what young voters think about these new tactics on trying to reach them.
I think it's definitely made their campaigns more visible to especially like people our age. I do think it's like a smart tactic. As a history major, I feel like I look at like a bunch of old elections from the past, and I feel like obviously with evolving times, it's important to like stay with it.
Earlier in the election cycle, both campaigns shared with News 3 there would be an increased effort in reaching voters through social media as well. Tonight at 6, we'll hear more from students on how effective they believe these forms of outreach are.
Thank you, Jalen. Investors are checking corporate earnings reports. The Dow lost 154 points, while the Nasdaq was up 145, and the S&P gained 9.
New Glarus Brewing Company is expanding once again, embarking on a new 2-year expansion project of its facilities south of the village.
Our Kyle Pozorski has the details.
This is where the new factory expansion is going to be going, and yes, they're going to be making a lot more beer here and also getting more space to welcome in visitors. It was as if the entire town showed up Tuesday for a groundbreaking ceremony to mark the start of the next chapter for the company now ingrained in Wisconsin's character. What will be a 65,000 square foot expansion will house facilities for brewing, distilling, and hospitality. The company's architect and daughter of founders Dan and Deb Carey spoke with us about the legacy they've built and hope to continue with this project.
It's a history. I think it's become part of the community. They've made sure that they've done things with a lot of heart, with a lot of intention. I think we've become part of the fabric of Wisconsin, and they've created something really special that I think will stand the test of time.
The new building will be 4 stories tall, complete with a grass roof, along with a geothermal heating and cooling system. In New Glarus, Kyle Pozorski, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Kyle. The project's general contractor is Keller Inc., and they expect the work to wrap up in fall of 2026.
Well, when we come back, Venom: The Last Dance opened in theaters. Did it 2-step to the top of the charts, or is it box office poison?
Will Loper has a look at the movie's first weekend in the Loper Report.
So let's get one thing straight. When Donald Trump talks about cutting Social Security and Medicare, it's like spitting in the face of America's seniors. We paid into these programs for our entire careers, and he would just cut them? Why? He wants to give another tax cut to the super rich, which they don't need. I know that Kamala Harris will protect our Social Security because she understands why it's so important for so many of us.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
The right to vote is the foundation of democracy. For decades, we have been forced to fight voter suppression to increase voter turnout in the Black community, while overcoming barriers designed to undermine voter participation. The NAACP of Wisconsin believes your vote matters, and we urge you to double-check your voter information at myvotewisconsin.gov. In-person absentee voting begins Tuesday, October 22nd. Now let's be all in to vote on November 5.
Growing up here in southeast Wisconsin, hard work and getting things done are in Brian Stiles' DNA. It's why Stile is recognized as a problem solver in Congress. He's fighting for Wisconsin families every day, combating high prices at the grocery store and gas pump. And Brian Stile is protecting Social Security and Medicare because you've earned it. Brian Stile, getting it done for southeast Wisconsin. Fair Shake is responsible for the content of this ad.
Are you struggling with back or neck pain due to herniated or bulging discs? Midwest Spine and Nerve Center may be able to help you get back to your active lifestyle with our non-invasive, drug-free treatment methods, including non-surgical spinal decompression, Class 4 laser, and more. Serving Madison for over 15 years, we've helped hundreds of patients alleviate their back or neck pain. If you're looking for an alternative back or neck pain relieving therapy, call us to schedule a complimentary, no-obligation consultation today to see if we can help you get out of pain.
We know what Joan Ballwig wants to do. Ban abortion and birth control. That's it. That's her plan. Sarah Kieski is focused on bringing costs down, and she has real plans to lower the cost of healthcare and housing, prescription drugs, and to cut your taxes. So if you want a candidate focused on banning abortion and birth control, that's Joan Ballwig. For everyone else, there's Sarah Kieski. She's running for state senate to finally bring costs down.
National Democrats have been a disaster. Higher prices, open borders, making our communities less safe. They can't run on their record, so they try to distract you by lying about abortion.
Here's the truth. I oppose a national abortion ban. Early in a pregnancy, women should have the right to decide. We should allow for exceptions. And finally, the people of Wisconsin need to decide this issue, not politicians in Washington.
I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message.
New at 5, new data points reveal a grim reality. Teachers are leaving Wisconsin classrooms in record numbers. How officials are working to keep educators in our schools.
First Run Weather Team is tracking the potential for alert day conditions Wednesday evening for strong winds, and we can't rule out an isolated tornado or two. Coming up at 5, we'll use Future Track to show this potential line of severe weather.
And ahead at 6 with Election Day, around the corner, candidates are breaking the mold to connect with younger voters. See the bold, unconventional ways they're getting on young people's radar tonight at 6.
I saw the title, it said Venom, and I said to Brady, is this a horror flick? Because that will immediately count me out. It's not. It's a superhero film which features the Marvel Comics character Venom.
So you can still go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Will Loper takes a look at the movie that opened this past weekend in the Loper Report.
Hey, Susan and Brady. The Spider-Man villain Venom made his third and supposedly final appearance in Venom: The Last Dance, opening this past weekend to a disappointing $51 million. But should you dance your way to theaters to see it?
You should probably know that I have a really dark and unpredictable side to me.
Tom Hardy returns as Eddie Brock, infected by the black, gooey symbiote from space known as Venom.
What are you? We're Venom! We're gonna need to work on that.
Venom and Eddie mostly get along now, but find themselves targeted by an evil alien floating in space, with CGI that looks straight out of a PlayStation 4 video game.
The symbiotes didn't come here by accident. They were running.
From what? What's his name, then? No!
We have something he needs. Besides Eddie and Venom on the run, there's not much sense to be made out of the movie. The first Venom film in 2018 at least had Tom Hardy giving one of the strangest performances of his career to marvel at.
I'm a doctor. This man is my patient. Much better.
Here, it's become tiresome. Venom: The Last Dance is nonsensical and unentertaining and should be skipped. Unless, of course, you're somehow a massive Venom fan. For Live at 4, I'm Will Loper.
I did remember the thing with the teeth.
The thing with the teeth, yes.
Right.
That's all you need to know.
Right.
Well, 2 topics for Dr. Jeff Pothoff when we come back. We'll talk about Jordan Love's injury.
And we'll talk about how to prepare for the upcoming daylight saving time. We fall back this weekend. Dr. Pothoff will join us when we come back.
The other side is lying to scare you.
Truth is, Joan Ballwig is a champion for women's health care. She fought hard to expand healthcare access for postpartum moms and supports access for IVF and birth control. We're voting for Joan Ballwig because she votes for women like us.
I'm a steel worker. I grew up right here on the little family farm. Trump was here campaigning with Elon Musk. Now there's a prime example of who he keeps close. Donald Trump cares about his billionaire friends. He's just going to turn around and give them more tax breaks. But Kamala Harris is fighting for the working class. She'll make billionaires pay their fair share. That way, working people get a fair shot. Elon Musk is voting for his money, and I'm voting for mine. And I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
Eric Hovde owns a $3 billion California bank. That's right, he owns it.
And a $7 million mansion on the beach.
Eric Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax breaks for rich guys just like him.
And to pay for it, Hovde would cut Social Security by 28%.
Slash Medicare 25%.
And veterans benefits 40%.
Outrageous. Now we know what's wrong with Eric Hovde. This guy is not for us.
They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. Why hasn't she done it?
For years, radical Kamala Harris created the border crisis. Thousands of accused murderers, rapists, even terrorists pour in. Each crime they commit makes American victims. Innocent victims of Kamala's open border agenda. They were bludgeoned, raped, strangled, stabbed, shot, and murdered. Kamala created the border crisis. She won't fix it now. Make America Great Again, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising.
We count on gasoline to power our cars, our tractors, our way of life. So why is a city slicker from Miami, Elizabeth Crappie, okay banning gas-powered vehicles? Extremists like Crappie want to eliminate fossil fuels, robbing hard-working families, farmers, and small businesses of their vehicles. Miami Liz's radical ideas hurt our families and our main streets. Don't let Crappie get away with it. Born and raised right here. Todd Novak is our independent voice for common sense, protecting our way of life.
Meet Sarah Kieski. You might see her walking around in her woke genius t-shirt. Radical, just like the groups that support her. Kieski supporters want to defund the police. Her allies want to give voting rights to illegals and make it easier for felons to vote. And Kieski is backed by a group that wants to let criminals out early. Want to know where Sarah Kieski stands? Just look at the company she keeps.
You have a clear choice in this election. Senator Baldwin is a 38-year career politician. I'm a businessman and job creator. She supports taxpayer benefits for illegal immigrants. I'll close the border. Tammy wants to put guys and girls sports in their bathrooms. I'll protect our daughters. Senator Baldwin abuses the political system. I'll fight the corruption. I'm Eric Hovde, and I approve this message. I'd be honored to have your vote.
Sarah Kieski, she supports lifting revenue limits, allowing property tax rates to skyrocket unchecked. Kieski's backers want to ban natural gas to heat our homes, driving utility bills through the roof. That's Kieski's record, expensive and extreme.
This weekend, we turn the clocks back and get that extra hour of sleep.
The end of daylight saving time doesn't just mean we're resetting the clock. It means we're resetting our sleep cycle, too. UW Health's Dr. Jeff Potoff is here with advice on the best way to do this, especially with kids. Hi, Dr. Potoff. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
I'm always fascinated by this because we're falling back, so we're gaining an extra hour of sleep. But it can really mess you up when you alter your sleep schedule, especially when you have kids. The circadian rhythm is a precise thing.
It's a real thing. Like, we're all kind of wired to a certain time, and some of us will suffer more than others. Some people, this will actually not be that difficult. They'll be like, not a big deal. Some people, you know, a couple of days it takes them to kind of get, and some people it takes a week or more, even that 1 hour change, to kind of feel like you're back to yourself. Be pretty tired, just not quite jiving with what's going on.
Yeah. How can you try to get ahead of that then?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is, one, like, don't use that extra hour that you get in the fall to try to do something. So this isn't the time to like plan the party and stay out till midnight because it's only 11 o'clock. I think if you can, it's a little late right now, but make sure you're getting good sleep ahead of that change. That's hard for all of us. Everyone's so busy, it's hard to get good sleep, but if you're well rested before the change, less likely to impact. Certainly exercise is a good thing. Exercise really helps with like maintaining good sleep patterns. So if you're doing that, that's great too. But for some people, like, no matter what they do, it's going to be just a little bit tough to adjust.
It can really affect your mood too. I mean, you get a cranky, tired toddler or teenager, you're going to have a bad day. And some people suggest shaving off like 15 minutes of your child's bedtime routine every night. Do you think you should do that, or should you just go to bed your regular time and take the extra hour.
There's probably not harm in shaving that off. It's like my kids, that means I have to fight a battle with them like every night for like 4 or 5 nights. So I think it's okay to be like, you know, we're going to gain an extra hour of sleep, but you're still going to bed at 9 o'clock or whatever it is. And then, you know, if they wake up and the time's a little different, like that's okay.
And one quick last topic, Jordan Love's injury. Packers fans, should they be worried?
You know, less worried than the knee, I think. So what we heard today is the MRI. I mean, I don't know if this is true, but they said it looked okay. That would kind of eliminate some of these like grade 3 or like complete tears of those muscles. So it's a strain. You can recover somewhat quickly from that. At the same time, they've got to be thinking about re-injury and whether they want to risk that. So I don't think we'll know for sure until game time, but a less severe injury than some of the stuff we saw with the knee earlier this year.
Well, he can use that extra hour to get some rest.
There you go.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you guys.
Well, from turning the clock back to turning the calendar back, it feels like summer out there, Alex.
It feels like summer, and thinking summertime or spring-like thunderstorms. We have alert day conditions we're tracking for Wednesday evening and Wednesday night for areas from Madison and points off towards the west. Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk of severe weather from the Dells to Madison to Janesville and south and west towards the Mississippi River. The hazards we're looking at, or the threats that we're looking at, are potential heavy rainfall, but it's really the wind, strong winds, those winds that we have outside right now. When we get thunderstorms with this cold front that's going to come through, those damaging winds have my greatest attention, although we could have some hail, and we can't rule out the potential for a brief spin-up tornado with this line that races across southern Wisconsin. Well, rather, I should say, it takes its time. It's actually a slow-moving line, not a line that's moving terribly quickly. Even by 10 o'clock, it's still Madison and points towards the northwest. Then it gets to Madison, Watertown to Janesville by approximately 2 o'clock in the morning. Weakening as it gets to Madison and to Janesville, we could see another line of showers and a couple of more garden variety thunderstorms Thursday morning before that weather system moves on out and things should clear out for trick-or-treating. Not before depositing anywhere between 1, maybe some isolated 2-inch amounts of water. This might be a bit overdone, but the best chance for that heavy rain is to the north and west of Madison. Madison itself, perhaps a 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. And after a period of dry weather Friday, going into Saturday, we go into a wet weather pattern that carries on for a good portion of next week, including Election Day. We'll be right back.
I'm a steel worker. I grew up right here on the little family farm. Trump was here campaigning with Elon Musk. Now there's a prime example of who he keeps close. Donald Trump cares about his billionaire friends. He's just going to turn around and give them more tax breaks. But Kamala Harris is fighting for the working class. She'll make billionaires pay their fair share. That way working people get a fair shot. Elon Musk is voting for his money, and I'm voting for mine. And I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
FFPAC is responsible for the content of this ad.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is simple. Every home should have Salon-Pause. Powerful, yet non-addictive. Targeted and long-lasting. I recommend Salon-Pause. It's good medicine.
We know what Joan Ballwig wants to do. Ban abortion and birth control. That's it. That's her plan. Sarah Kieski is focused on bringing costs down, and she has real plans to lower the cost of healthcare and housing, prescription drugs, and to cut your taxes. So if you want a candidate focused on banning abortion and birth control, that's Joan Ballwig. For everyone else, there's Sarah Kieski. She's running for state senate to finally bring costs down.
I think we're probably spending too much, throwing too much money on our southern border.
Last month, fentanyl killed my childhood friend. Drugs and criminals are pouring into our communities because Tammy Baldwin voted to open our border and defund our police. I moved here from New York to protect my family, but Tammy's bringing her New York values to Wisconsin. Tammy Baldwin is dangerous.
I'm Eric Upty, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
The problem with Todd Novak? He voted with his extreme party leaders 100% of the time, like voting against lower prescription prices. And Todd Novak authored the law to ban abortion in Wisconsin, with no exceptions for rape and incest. Todd Novak is with the extremists 100%, and he's hurting Wisconsin. Elizabeth Grabe will defend abortion rights, get more police funding, and bring down costs. Elizabeth Grabe for Assembly.
Meet Sarah Kieski. You might see her walking around in her woke genius t-shirt. Radical, just like the groups that support her. Kieski supporters want to defund the police. Her allies want to give voting rights to illegals and make it easier for felons to vote. And Kieski is backed by a group that wants to let criminals out early. Want to know where Sarah Kieski stands? Just look at the company she keeps.
Take a look at this. This not-so-sneaky thief popped up on a camera in a garage in Alabama. It's a Brazen Bear B&E. And while the big fur ball could have stolen the valuable golf cart, instead, it shows a cart full of trash. Our bin burgling bandit certainly looks like a pro standing on hind legs while wheeling the Waste Pro receptacle away from the dwelling with shockingly remarkable dexterity.
Put that right on the curb, will you?
Yeah.
Set it outside.
Come to our house. Take out the trash. Well, hopefully for this rubbish rabble-rouser, the risk was worth the reward. Bon appetit. There we go. Oh, there he is again. All right, that's it. We'll be right back.
Donald Trump has always wanted unchecked power.
I have the right to do whatever I want as president.
And with Project 2025, he'll get it. No guardrails. This time, he will eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions, and he'll cut Social Security and Medicare to give more tax cuts to billionaires. Donald Trump is more unhinged and unstable than ever. If we give him total power, he'll put everything at risk.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
California banker Eric Hovde has a plan that helps him and hurts you.
Here's the math. Hovde proposed $4 trillion in new tax cuts for rich people like him.
And we pay for Hovde's tax breaks with a 28% cut to Social Security and a 25% cut to Medicare.
Hovde even said he would raise the retirement age.
You have to start changing the retirement age.
Eric Hovde still helping himself and hurting you.
Win Senate is responsible for the content of this ad.
Washington is corrupt. Senator Baldwin says she fights against Wall Street, and yet she lives with a Wall Street executive and gets all this money from Wall Street. She says she's standing up to Big Pharma and Big Tech, but look at the money she rakes in from Big Pharma, Big Tech, and their executives. Senator Baldwin doesn't work for you, she works for them. I'm Eric Hovde, I approve this message. I'm not taking their special interest money, I'll only work for you.
Growing up here in southeast Wisconsin, hard work and getting things done are in Brian Stiles' DNA. It's why Stiles is recognized as a problem solver in Congress. He's fighting for Wisconsin families every day, combating high prices at the grocery store and gas pump. And Brian Stiles is protecting Social Security and Medicare because you've earned it. Brian Stiles, getting it done for southeast Wisconsin. Fair Shake is responsible for the content of this ad.
Rebecca Cook believes our parents and grandparents should be able to age with dignity. In Congress, she'll vote to strengthen Social Security and Medicare by repealing the tax on benefits, lowering the eligibility age for Medicare, and allowing Medicare to negotiate lower drug costs so our seniors get the prescription drugs they need at prices they can afford. Rebecca Cook, a homegrown Wisconsinite who fights for what's right. Project 218 is responsible for the content of this ad.
Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
There is not a thing that comes to mind.
Kamala wouldn't change a thing? Their weakness invited wars, welfare for illegals, while Americans struggle. Now Kamala wants higher taxes